Today, as we traverse the challenging expanses of the global wealth landscape, the principles enshrined in this historic medal remain the guiding star for the Good Fellows Initiative. It is my honor to announce the presentation of the Queen South Africa Medal of 1899 by our chairman, Lakshmi, to Matthew Hurn, OBE.
Let me introduce Mr. Matthew Hurn, OBE. Matthew Hurn is an Executive Director and CFO of Disruptive Investments, which encompasses global portfolio of next-generation companies, pioneering breakthrough technologies in a wide range of sectors. It's great to have you with us today, Mr. Matthew. Welcome to Good Talks.
Thank you for having me.
Matthew Hurn is an accomplished senior financial professional and a commercial business leader with over 30 years of international experience and cross-sector exposure in finance, corporate finance, treasury, and risk management. Past president of the Association of Corporate Treasurers, ACT, and past chairman of the ACT Middle East. Awarded honorary chair and the lifetime patron title. Awarded an OBE in 2021 in recognition of services and contribution to UK-UAE financial relationships, and an honorary doctorate from the University of Birmingham in 2022. Thought leader, contributor, regular speaker on treasury, corporate finance, and business affairs. Mentored to several early-stage startups, and active investor in social impact ventures. Let's welcome Mr. Matthew Hurn. So I'm getting into a personal life, your life journey, which I would like the people to take as an inspiration. I know you left your school at the age of 16 to work at a trustee of a savings bank. And since then you have built such an incredible portfolio that you have been awarded Order of British Empire in 2020. How does it feel to look back at your own journey?
I sometimes sit at events like this and feel like an imposter because we're surrounded by people far more talented than myself. But let me tell you a little bit of a story. I left school before I was 16 and I wasn't academically gifted. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do with life. But I actually applied for a role in banking. And again, despite being not particularly good at anything academically, I was offered the opportunity to get involved. But one thing that I learned very early on in life was that the harder I worked, the luckier I became. And I think what I also learned is that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So I was unconventional. I challenged a lot of things. But I also wanted to make sure that I tried to curtail a certain amount of natural enthusiasm and confidence that I had as a child, because I would offer to do anything without necessarily knowing how to do it, but with the confidence that I'd find a way. And so that really was the start of an incredible career journey. And when I hear people say what's been achieved over the years, I sometimes have to pinch myself, because it is somewhat ironic from a person like me, from the background that I had, to have achieved such recognition. And so events like this are very humbling, but also really I think I'm just a custodian of, because actually there are so many people that have been with me as part of that journey. And one of the things that I learned, and things I try to tell people nowadays, is when I started my career in this kind of unconventional approach, I wasn't looking for the big headline company name. I was looking to get employed by someone who believed in me, that wasn't actually going to curtail my ambitions, kind of narrow what I was able to do. Someone who actually really wanted to believe in me and support me, and that could pull, I guess, the best characteristics from me. And I think, as you learn some of these things on your own journey, there's certain attributes and things like that I now want to make sure that I convey with teams that I've built over the years.
That's a great journey, sir. I would like to ask something, if you just to take the two countries you have seen the Middle East, you have seen the UK, both the sides, on a first-hand experience. Say United Arab Emirates and the United Kingdom, what is your view on how the citizens define the idea of prosperity?
Prosperity. What is prosperity? I mean, because prosperity to me, there's financial prosperity, physical prosperity, emotional and spiritual prosperity. And I think one thing that I've learned, being in the Middle East for the past 15 years under the leadership of the current president, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, is actually the prosperity that he advocates to provide a better life for the people of Abu Dhabi, his people, is evident in many different ways, but it's not necessarily just linked to financial prosperity, which I think some people often just associate with. Prosperity, for me, is also linked to two other very key common factors, which is health and happiness. And I think sometimes in today's society, people probably put too much weight on the physical or the financial element of prosperity, whereas I actually focus much more on the kind of the health and happiness part of it, because I think actually if you can have health and happiness, you would probably trade the other aspects. But it is an interesting place for anybody that's been to my part of the world, is that actually it's a common trait that has followed on from the founding father, the late Sheikh Zayed, through to the Sheikh Khalifa, Sheikh Mohammed, and the rest of the rulers of the UAE, that they actually want to demonstrate quite clearly that actually the wealth, happiness, and the quality of life for the people of the Emirates is of paramount importance. And I think when you have the opportunity to see it and observe it, you'd kind of question why it's not adopted in many more countries. So for me, that's how I look at the world of prosperity, but trying to make sure that people think of all of the elements of prosperity rather than the one that people think is, well, what does it mean in terms of cash?
It's a beautiful explanation, right? Somebody told me a long time back, when we are talking about wellness, they said wellness is holistic. Commonly, people don't define the wellness as holistic. They said wellness is a combination of 6 things: physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, psychological, and the spiritual. If you get this together, automatically will lead to financial prosperity. And the challenge is how do you get all these things together? That's how it is seen. And your point, once again, redefining that one. Over the years, you have worked with some of the titans of the industry. In what ways do you believe people have the power to influence and shape the world around them? And how do you perceive the impact of individual in a societal development?
So, an interesting story. So, Davos this year, there was quite a delegation from the UAE that went. And in the run-up to Davos, I guess the mood music from the global economy was quite downbeat. And so I was checking in with my colleagues who were there after day one, and it was very much, yeah, this is bad. This is really bad. Day 2, yeah, okay. I think actually it may not be quite that bad. By day 3, it was, I think there's a way around it. And the only thing you can ascribe that to is the collective benefit of mindthink. And I do believe that actually if you put the right people around a table with the right positive attitude and approach, great things can be achieved. So I often think people generally look pessimistically. I was told quite recently I'm an optimist that worries too much. But I actually do believe that actually the opportunities out there for significant improvement in many factors is wholeheartedly achievable if people adopt, I guess, the positive mental attitude that goes with it. And I think for people to have longevity in any country, any company, any partnership, relationship that you have, it's making sure that you're kind of aligned to those aspects to say, well, is this individual bringing out the best in me? Is this organization bringing out the best in me? Am I contributing my fair share in order to get out what I'm prepared to put in?
While I was doing the research, I came across that you have spoken more about empathy. You said that empathy is one of the greatest untaught qualities. Could you share with us any approaches to inculcating empathy in business leaders and consequently inspiring their philanthropic nature?
So I was asked that question, and so I know exactly what you're referring to, and this is something that I actually really wholeheartedly believe in, because whilst I left school very young, I ended up doing my chartered accountancy exams, my chartered treasury exams, and they teach you technical skills. Technical skills only get you so far in life. Actually, the interpersonal skills create far more value in the long term. And so when I was looking at, initially it's going, are you a good communicator? Are you a good strategic influencer? One of the greatest things for me was having children. My children are 23 and 21. And when your children get to a certain age, it's an incredible opportunity to see the world through their eyes. And it's only by adopting and embracing how they see the world that sometimes you have to have a bit more empathy, because actually their world is very different from the world I grew up in. And so this further came about during COVID. Before COVID, I guess we were like many kind of very significant business. We've got to get things done, timings, where is this deadline, meet it. COVID caused a big quantum shift. You had to recognize that some people were working from home. I had people in the team that were wives, mothers, teachers to their children because they couldn't go to school before they even started work for me. But it was only when I could look at the world through their eyes and their situation that you could develop the empathetic approach. And I do think that actually if you can have a greater understanding, a greater respect, and this kind of view of empathy, you will build far more rewarding relationships, far more high-performing teams, and I think you'll get a sense of loyalty that you won't get in any other way.
Since you spoke about people, what do you believe is your unique contribution to the world or the people around you?
I don't think I have anything unique. As I say, I think I'm an imposter at times. But I give time. Time is one of the greatest resources that you can give someone. And again, with members of family, it was an expat who's travelled backwards and forwards, you often think it's so-and-so's birthday, I'll send a present. And I remember my dad saying to me, I'd far rather have your time than your gift. And that resonates. And therefore, I've always made myself available. I mentor many people, start-up businesses, entrepreneurs, UAE nationals. I don't claim to have the answer for everything, but I will make sure that I make myself available. I will always give a very honest, open assessment. But giving someone time is no real sacrifice.
As we spoke about the people, I would like to ask a question on the planet. What do you think is an important issue facing the planet right now, as per you, to which you believe we are not paying enough attention?
Well, I think the big one is the climate emergency. But I do think we are paying attention. As Mubadala, we've been investing in renewables now for such a long time, and I think it's incredible the achievements that have been made that just aren't publicized. I think media generally portrays quite a negative connotation as to where we are, and it doesn't give enough airtime to the advances in technology and innovation that we have achieved to try to solve these things. In my lifetime, the population of this planet has doubled. So for me, it's okay, well, we heard from the distinguished speaker earlier about the migration that's needed because of land being lost. I also look at that from two other lenses. One is there enough clean water in order to cater for that? And more importantly, is there enough food to feed this growing population? And so what is it we need to do to be innovative, to be able to reconfigure some of those norms to make sure that we can build a dynamic, vibrant, robust, sustainable future for my children's children's children. But I am optimistic. I don't believe you should necessarily look in the rearview mirror. I'm actually much more concerned about looking at the road ahead, identifying and acknowledging head-on that there are challenges, and having some of those tough, honest, open conversations that says, what is it that we need to do to actually try to move that needle for positive impact.
How does your purpose evolve and adapt to different stages of your own life journey?
So for me, I've always looked to get involved in things where my passion meets my purpose. I want to get involved with people who are like-minded, who are prepared to roll their sleeves up, lead into challenges, and get things done.
If you don't mind, what is your passion? Since you said passion leading to the purpose.
My passion is seeing other people succeed. I'm not motivated by physical attributes. I'm much more rewarded by people saying nice things about you, by things that you've done, things you've helped them to do. And so my passion in life is to give back. I've been very, very fortunate from individuals who have granted me time, grace, and opportunity. I've been very fortunate in the businesses I've worked in, invested in, and been involved with. And I actually want to make sure that I try to impart as much of that as the best I can. It may be an unconventional way because I'm not your traditional textbook academic. So I have far more probably the practical life skills that if I can impart. And if someone can take some benefit of that for their own goodwill and development, then I think that's, for me, where my purpose is.
What type of ideas keep you awake?
Oh, many. Because I think there's often the fear that you're not doing enough. So, I invest personally in a lot of social impact funds or businesses that I then try to help mentor and curate the growth, and whether it's around the environment issue, food waste, ethical fashion, healthcare, life sciences, is you realize there's an awful lot that can be done, should be done, and therefore how do you allocate your time in the best possible way to make sure that I'm a good husband, I'm a good father, I'm a good employee, I'm a good coach, mentor, but also I'm taking time for me to make sure that I become the best person that I can be. So there are many things, but generally I sleep very well. And that's because I think I try to take the optimistic view of life that says, if I can look in the mirror and have that honest conversation with myself, that I have done what I think I can do in the best way possible, then that's kind of quite satisfying and kind of makes the sleep a bit more sound.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure and privilege having you with us, Mr. Matthew. Thank you for making this day memorable. Let's give a big hand to Mr. Matthew Hurn, OBE. Thank you, sir.